Alright, what's up guys? New deck profile today. Very excited for this one. We have a Winged Dragon of Ra deck today. We just had the new structure decks come out. They are the Egyptian God structure deck. They don't directly support Ra, but they have a generic card which is absolutely disgusting. It's called Soul Crossing. It's such a good card. Basically, quick effect, you can tribute 3 monsters on the field, either yours or your opponent's. Of course, it doesn't target because all it does is tribute. Tribute 3 monsters on the field and immediately you can immediately tribute summon a divine monster. So you can summon Winged Dragon of Ra or Obelisk or whatever, but in this particular build we are playing the Winged Dragon of Ra. So you can immediately summon that. This card is really, really good in the deck, and it makes it so much better that this card is actually a quick play because you can set it and then activate it during your opponent's turn, which very, very good for, yeah, you can basically set this card during your opponent's turn while they're trying to establish their board. You activate this, get rid of 3 monsters, non-targeting, non-destruction, non-everything. This can get rid of Dragoon, this can get rid of so much like crazy stuff. You get rid of their entire board and then summon a Winged Dragon of Ra. It's absolutely, absolutely disgusting, but we're going to get into the deck profile as we go along here. First of all, we play 3 copies of Winged Dragon of Ra. You play your favorite artworks. These are my favorites. I do have the Ghost, but the Ghost is at PSA, hopefully getting a 10, most likely getting an 8. But we've got that somewhere else. But these artworks are pretty cool. This one's actually my favorite. It just isn't like, it's just not that expensive. But personally, I think that one, the color contrast looks the coolest. So we play those guys right there. Definitely 3 of them. Yeah, you need 3 in the deck. This is like the boss monster in your deck. This deck is actually, I built it to be more of a control deck. This deck is actually, I never really played Winged Dragon of Ra until a friend of mine named PB started to play. You can check it out on his channel. We've got some older videos here on the channel. Basically, he played it with the Dangers, though. He played it as an OTK deck with the Dangers. I play it more of a control deck, just because I think with some of the new support, I think the deck is actually played a little bit better as a control deck, but you can very much play this going second with Dangers, Raw Sphere modes, the Immortal Phoenix, all that stuff. This is more of a control build, but we play 3 of these. Definitely very necessary. Next, we play 3 copies of Guardian Slime. I was supposed to actually film this video last week, but unfortunately I ordered these. My order got canceled. I'm like, screw it, I got to record this video. This card is very good, especially in the control build. Basically what this card does is, actually I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Basically what this card does is, you play 3 copies, but if this card is sent if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can search a card that has Winged Dragon of Ra in its name, or Winged Dragon of Ra in its text, which is very good because it searches like the search cards for Winged Dragon of Ra. But that is its graveyard effect. But its other effect is if you take any battle damage or effect damage, you can actually special summon this card to the field for free. That effect is also really good because it's like super easy summon, and this is more of like a slow control build. So if we take a little damage, we summon this in defense mode, and then we basically get to next turn either fusion summon with it or link it away, and then we get to search. So it's really, really good. Also, if this card is on your field and your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change this card's defense to that monster's attack. So basically, whatever your opponent's attacking with, this card will match the defense with that monster, which is really, really cool, because even if they attack with like a 4,000 attack monster, your defense becomes 4,000 and this thing basically lives. But it's really good, and also it's a level 10 aqua monster, so it'll let us go into the Egyptian God Slime, which is kind of like our easy way to cheat out the Winged Dragon of Ra, and also it gives us protection, battle protection, and once you basically send this to the graveyard to special summon the Egyptian God Slime, this allows you to search, so it's kind of like a +1. But definitely 3 copies of that. Then we play 3 copies of Reactor Slime. At first I didn't like this card at all, but again, as I kind of been messing around with the deck, this card is really not that bad. Basically during your main phase you can summon 2 tokens, and then you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn. But that's okay because our biggest, like our boss monster is a tribute summon, and we have a ton of additional tribute summons. Like Ancient Chant gives us additional tribute summons. That spell card Soul Crossing gives us an additional tribute summon. Like we're not worried about tribute summons. We can waste our normal summon on this, summon the 2 tokens, and then we have plenty more normal summons and tribute summons available in our deck, so that doesn't even matter that we can't special summon for the rest of the turn. Also, this has an effect during the battle phase, either player's battle phase. you can tribute this card during the battle phase, and then you can set a copy of Metal Reflect Slime from your deck to your side of the field, and then that card could be activated immediately. And as you know, Metal Reflect Slime is a 3,000 defense monster, so if you do that during the battle phase, it's pretty difficult for your opponent if they don't have a bigger monster. But also, the Reflect Metal Slime actually does turn into the Egyptian God Slime the following turn. So this it really does help the deck a lot. It helps more with that kind of control element, which I really like. But it synergizes in other ways with our deck. We play 3 copies of Ash Blossom because it's honestly the best hand trap in the game. It's extremely versatile. There's not a single deck that isn't at least to some degree hurt by Ash Blossom. It's good against really good against rogue decks, and it's pretty good against the majority of decks in the meta as it is. So definitely playing 3 of that. Then we play 3 copies of Ancient Chant. This is our search spell, and it gives us an additional tribute summon, and it gives our Winged Dragon of Ra additional attack. It's like such a good card. Basically, yeah, like I said, on activation, you can add a Winged Dragon of Ra, super good. You get an extra tribute summon, again, super good, because, I mean, it's not that we need the extra tribute summons that much, but it's really cool that you can just basically normal summon a monster and then tribute that monster instantly without having to worry. And then on top of that, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and when you summon a Winged Dragon of Ra this turn, that monster becomes equal to the attacks of all of the monsters that you tributed to summon that Winged Dragon of Ra, and that is very compatible with the Soul Crossing because you can tribute your opponent's gigantic monsters, the Borreload, the Boral Sword, the Borreload Savage Dragon. You can tribute Dragoon, and then your Winged Dragon of Ra actually gains all of their attack points and defense points, which is really, really cool. But definitely, Ancient Chant is a very, very good card. We played 1 copy of Blaze Cannon. I played it 1 because it's searchable with the Guardian Slime that I showed you, that level 10 monster that summons itself. It's searchable with the Guardian Slime, and it's kind of just good to have another option sometimes. I've been testing this card a lot. I actually might bump this up to 3 because this card is actually like really good. Basically, it has 3 effects. Number 1, this effect actually cannot be responded to, or you can't be negated. Yeah, this card's activation cannot be negated, which is just crazy because you activate and your opponent can't do anything about it. So once you have Winged Dragon of Ra has an effect on summon. Let me get one with text. Winged Dragon of Ra has an effect on summon where you can activate play life points till you have 100, and then it gains attack equal to that life point, equal to the amount of life points that you pay. That can't be negated. And also, Blaze Cannon is another card. It cannot be negated, the activation. So you activate it, and then your Winged Dragon of Ra basically becomes like totally unaffected by all other card effects, which is super duper nice. Because basically now, it's super duper nice because now your opponent basically can't out it in any way because you're doing it in a time where they've already like targeted with something with like a Dogmatic, a Punishment, or some kind of card that would destroy it. You just chain this and now it's unaffected. Whatever they activated basically fizzles. They basically makes it unbeatable by spell traps, monster effects, unless they can destroy it by battle, but usually it has so much attack that they're not going to be able to. Also has an effect where if it battled, you can send all other monsters your opponent controls to the graveyard, which again is very, very good because, I mean, it's, again, non-targeting removal, really good, and non-destruction. And then it has another effect that I never use, which is you contribute, when your Winged Dragon Ra attacks, you contribute monsters you control, and then it gains attack equal to those monsters. This deck is really not that monster heavy, so your main goal is to slow down your opponent and basically just attack with one gigantic Winged Dragon Ra out of nowhere, and protected usually by something like a Blaze Cannon. But yeah, that's very, very good card. Like I said, I might bump it up to more than 1, but I really like this card during testing. We played 3 copies of Soul Crossing. This card is so good in the deck. I talked about it in the opening monologue. Yeah, it's so good because it's a quick play, so you can use it during your opponent's turn, and as they're setting up their board, you can tribute their board, or you can use it going second, and it basically turns every copy of Winged Dragon of Ra into a copy of Raw Sphere mode. Which is really, it's just such a versatile card. The kind of drawback to it is that you can only activate one effect after you activate this card. That is the only drawback to this card. Next, for our draw spells, we play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. You could easily play Pot of Prosperity if you own it. I don't right now at this moment don't own Pot of Prosperity, so I play 3 Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Extravagance is good in its own ways because it basically gives you a +1, whereas Pot of Prosperity just lets you dig for exactly what you need. Both of them have their pluses and their minuses. Generally speaking, I think in control decks, and yeah, I think generally speaking, in control decks, I like Pot of Extravagance slightly better just because you want that card advantage. You don't have a lot of card advantage in this deck naturally, so you're definitely going to try to get it through something like an Extravagance. Next, for the interesting stuff, play 3 copies of Fury of Karyushin. Basically, what this card does is, on activation, it searches a copy of Torrential Tribute. As you guys all know what Torrential Tribute is, one of those classic cards in the game. So that's what it does. On top of that, that has an effect where if your water monsters would be destroyed, I think it's by battle or card effect. I know it's by card effect. Yeah, it would be destroyed by card effect. You can banish this from the graveyard and protect them. This card is really, really good in the deck because virtually all of your non-Winged Dragon of Raw monsters are all water monsters. Your Reactor Slime and its tokens are all water. The Guardian Slime is water. The Egyptian God Slime is water, in addition to the Reflect Metal Slime. Your entire deck is actually water. So not only do you get to search a Torrential Tribute, but on top of that, it gives you protection for essentially your entire deck outside of the Winged Dragon of Ra. And then Torrential Tribute is another very good card because it basically slows down the game a ton for your opponent. Yeah, it's extremely, extremely good in this deck because you activate Fury of Karyushin, you get to add this, and then your opponent summons something, and even if you have monsters on the field, you can just activate Torrential anyway, and then protect your own monsters from your own Torrential with the Fury of Karyushin by banishing it. It's really, really good. It's cool synergy that the deck is all essentially water. But next, we play 3 copies of Reflect Metal Slime. This is another really, really good card in the deck. It's just, not only is it searchable, or not even searchable, it's better than searchable, because the Reactor Slime sets it directly from the deck, and you can activate it instantly, but also, it's very important, it's great for defense, but also it gets you to your Egyptian God Slime. An Egyptian God Slime stops your, it prevents targeting, can't be destroyed by battle, it's 3,000 attack, which is insane, and then on top of that, it's insane for a control deck, I should say, because most control decks don't put out that much damage. This deck has no trouble with that. But yes, this also counts as 3 tributes for a God card summon. So you can just tribute this, use Ancient Chant and Graveyard to make your Winged Dragon Roll come out with a 3,000 attack just on summon, and then you pay life points and basically have, if you pay, what is that, 7,900 plus 3,000? I mean, that's insane. Is that like 11? Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of attack points. Like 10,900 right on summon. It's disgusting. But yeah, three Reflect Metal Slimes, 2 summon limits. I try to keep it low on the floodgates. I'm not huge on floodgates, but summon limit is definitely one of the better ones because you don't summon that much, and you split your summons between 2 turns. You summon off of trap cards. You summon off of trap cards, and you summon during your opponent's turn with other cards, so you can split your summons between multiple turns. And then our other floodgate is the Imperial Order, because once we have already used the spells that we need to use, we basically never use spells again. So Imperial Order is fantastic because it just totally, honestly, it just wins games sometimes. This card is really, really, it's really, really broken. Like, honestly, I don't think it should even be legal, but it is. But it's a really, really good card. 3 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. This is more just interruptions because we just have room for it. 3 Dogmatic Punishments. You can also, if you wanted to, play... this is an easy card to side out. You would just side this out, and then you would just side in 3 copies of Sphere Mode if you wanted to. But this card is really, really good in the deck because it basically pops a monster, and then on top of destroying a monster, you can send Natis, and then you can pop another monster. It's basically a +1. It's really good. Then we play 3 copies of Impermanence because we didn't have enough hand traps. We play 6 hand traps. Make sure we always have something to interrupt. For the extra deck, to be honest with you, like I said, I'm playing Extravagance. It's really up to you. These are the cards that you should be playing, but beyond this, you can play whatever you want. Playing 2 copies of Egyptian God Slime. This card is very, very good because it's basically... you summon it. You can summon this card by either fusion summoning, But the fusion summon, you would never actually fusion summon this card. Which you can basically cheat the fusion summon of this card by tributing a Egyptian, by tributing a level 10 water monster. And the level 10 water monsters that we play are Reflect Metal Slime and the Guardian Slime, which are both incredibly easy summons. So it's very, very easy to summon this card out. You just tribute that, and then you summon this thing out. This thing has multiple effects. They're all good. It can be destroyed by battle, which is already pretty decent. On top of that, it basically stops your opponent from targeting other cards other than this card, which again is pretty good. And on top of that, it counts as 3 tributes for the summon of a divine monster, so basically a god card, which again is really, really good because it just basically is an easy way to cheat out the Winged Dragon of Ra. And as you know, Ancient Chant gives you an extra summon, and Ancient Chant makes it come out at 3,000 if you tribute this thing. But yeah, it's really, really good. Sometimes, honestly, this deck is a control deck, so sometimes you can actually get 2 God Slimes out, and your opponent can't target them because it can't target other cards, so other than itself. It's untargetable, it can be destroyed by battle, it's 3,000 attack, you're playing a control deck, and you have stuff like Torrential Tribute and Fury of Karushin, which your opponent, which basically protects your monsters from destruction. You just have a ton of stuff that, it's just a ton of protection. On top of that, you have like Summon Limit, Imperial Order. Sometimes you don't even have to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra to even win. You just sit on these guys, but most of the time you do want to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra because it just gets in for so much damage so quickly. Definitely 2 of those, or honestly you can even bump it up to 3 since you're playing Extravagance. You got to play Elder Entity Natis because it's an extra pop, and you got to play Wind Pegasus at Ignister because basically it's a graveyard effect that lets you shuffle away one of your opponent's cards. But other than that, you can play your extra deck whatever you want. You can Borreload, Boral Sword, Nightmares. Like, honestly, outside of these cards, I really don't go into my extra deck at all. I don't use my extra deck. So I just filled it up with a bunch of really high attack monsters that basically I can use for Dogmatic Punishment. If they summon a really big monster, I can just hit him with something like that. But that is basically the deck. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you guys give it a try because it's actually an incredibly fun deck to play. And it summons the Winged Dragon Ra very, very consistently, which is why I think the deck is very, very fun to play. But that is it. Thank you for watching and have a terrific day.